It's Friday here on Jimmy Rants, and that means Ask Me Anything. So, ask me anything. JimmyRants.com is the website. Come on over to the Instagram page, Jimmy Rants. That's where the fun begins, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Be there, be square. Thank you so much for being here today for the show. We also simulcast on Periscope, Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you all for being here today for the show. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay right here on Instagram. Go to the Jimmy Rants Instagram page, and if you type in, or go to the IGTV, that's where you go there, and you can see all the past episodes there. We've been doing it on this device for the past couple weeks, so if you need to see the older episodes, you can go on over to my YouTube channel, YouTube, and type in the keyword Jimmy Rants. You'll find the show there as well. We also house all of the episodes in one place at the official website. It is at JimmyRants.com. And yeah, when you're there, just noodle around. If you want to look up by like topic, you can do that on YouTube pretty easily. If you put in Jimmy Rants and then like cholesterol, you'll see every rant that I've ever done about cholesterol. So yeah, we try to make it easy here. I don't know what they're doing with the censorship right now. I don't know how much longer they're going to allow us to be on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, but definitely there is a new policy. I need you guys to know about this. Today is December 18th. On December 20th, which is on Sunday, Instagram and Facebook have a brand new policy. Did you know this? And in the policy, it basically states that they can remove you for any reason or no reason at all. And so just be aware that if suddenly on Monday you don't see a whole lot of your favorites, then that's going to be the reason. And yes, Cariana is saying, do you plan on any alternative platforms like BitChute, Rumble, Parler, etc.? I am on Parler, so I'm at Living Low Carb Man over on Parler. I don't really like Parler. I know everybody's going over there because they're not censoring stuff there. But I'm just, I'm a stickler for good quality social media, and I don't think they've got it yet. Do I post there? Yes. Is it clunky? Oh, you betcha. It's real clunky. If I could go live from there like I go live on Instagram, I would go live from Parler if I could. And I did set up a Rumble account. I am testing kind of Periscope. There's really nobody engaging on Periscope over here. So I may go live on Rumble soon. I did download the app and set up a username. What else? Living Low Carb Man. And so, yes, to answer your question, Cariana, certainly am looking into all the alternatives. I am telling you as well that I'm working on trying to go live directly from JimmyRants.com. Now, the only bad part about that is, unlike all the social media channels, you get a push notification that says, hey, Jimmy went live. I'm not sure how that would work if I did that from my own website, other than you guys who are super fans, knowing it's 11 a.m. and knowing that I go live at that you would just go straight there. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a way to do it. But just be aware, come Sunday is when I think the purge in massive ways is going to start. Okay, so just be ready for that. I'm trying to warn people ahead of time. They made a terms of service policy change not that long ago, and they said it's going to go into effect on December 20th. So get ready. December 20th is imminent, and if we're suddenly gone, now you know why. Now, hopefully, we're not gone and all the everywhere all at one time. So if you don't see me on Instagram, look for me on Facebook. If you don't see me on Facebook, look for me on YouTube. If you don't see me on any of those, definitely go over to Parler. I'll be talking through there to announce the next steps. But at Living Low Carb Man, pretty much wherever I go, that's the username I'm going to set up. But today, guys, it is Ask Me Anything. Fridays are one of my favorite shows of the week because it basically opens the floor to you to ask me anything you want. And I have lots of knowledge when it comes to ketogenic diets, low-carb diets, fasting, cholesterol, book writing, podcasting, building a brand, dealing with haters, or really anything you want to know about me. or anything else. Today is your opportunity to ask me anything. So get your questions ready. And as always, I have a few headlines to go over at the beginning. So we're going to do that right now. So get your questions ready. Go ahead and write your questions down there. And when the time comes, we will get to your question. All right. Did you know, according to this CNBC story, that you can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have a severe 9,1-divoc V-word side effect? Did you know that? And the government likely won't give you any compensation either. So if you experience any kind of severe side effects as a result of taking this V-word, lawyers have told CNBC there's basically no one that you can blame in a court of law. Are you happy about that? Like in my username, Rachel is Livin' Low Carb Man. LIVINLOWCARBMAN. That's my username. All over the internet. Did you know that you just can't go after these companies? They have given them full immunity from liability if something unintentionally goes wrong with their vaccines. Well, the problem is they know there's problems with the V word. I know I just said it, but they already know there's problems. So now they're going to not let them be held responsible for those problems they know they have. Did you guys see the video from Chattanooga, Tennessee? It was an office manager in a medical facility in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and she had a group of nurses over her, and she said, hey, I'll be the first one to take the V word for 9,1-divoc. So she gets it, and they make a big deal about it, and on the camera, and da-da-da. And then like 15 minutes later, they trot her out to do this press conference, and she's sitting there talking and giving her little remarks. Oh, this is a historic day in American history, and it's so wonderful that we're all lining up for this great invention to heal us of the great ill of our day. And then suddenly she starts getting woozy, she starts getting a headache, and she passes out on live television. Go look it up, you guys. I put an IGTV up on my Instagram story, so go look that up. But that actually happened yesterday, and we've heard several people already have some negative reactions. So you can't sue them for that. That's crazy. Now, they did say that you also cannot sue the FDA, who was the one who gave emergency use authorization for this V word. Nor can you go after your employer, who might mandate you to take this V word. Is anybody else concerned about this? This cannot be constitutional, that you can't have recompense against being forced to take this thing. And then if you're forced to take it and then you get sick, you're just SOL? Congress created a fund specifically to help with lost wages and any out-of-pocket medical expenses for people who have been irreparably harmed by a covered countermeasure such as a V word. But it is difficult to use and it rarely pays anyone. Attorneys say it has compensated less than 6% of the claims filed over the past 10 years. So guys, that's the reality. If you don't already know this, these companies have full immunity from you being able to sue them. You can't sue the FDA. You can't sue your employer. You can't sue the state. I know several states, including New York State, have been talking about mandating it on the entire population. Don't be surprised if California follows suit, Michigan follows suit, down the line, down the line, down the line. All these states that have had the most draconian measures when it comes to 9,1-divoc, just be prepared. And be prepared that you will have no ability to go after them if something happens to you. Now, if you're willing to take that chance, that's on you. But I would think you need to know that before you start willy-nilly getting stabbed in the arm with whatever is in this V word. All right, so let's get to the next one here. This was published in the journal Asian Journal of Psychiatry. And it was all about 9,1-divoc and a creative way to help with the mental health challenges. Anybody else dealing with some of the mental health challenges that have come with this year? Yeah, a lot of people have. And so this letter to the editor was put out there, and I was trying to see if they had the name of the person who wrote the letter, but I do not see the name. But the title of it, Yoga for 9/1 DIVOC and Natural Disaster-Related Mental Health Issues, Challenges, and Perspectives. So I don't need to go over the mental health, psychological distress, mental disorder, like anxiety, fear, PTSD, that has come from this. But they're trying to make yoga as a potential utility in helping people instead of drugs. So that's cool. In 2014, the United Nations proclaimed June 21st as the International Day of Yoga. It's translated as to join or unite, symbolizing union of the body and the consciousness. They talk about all the benefits that come from doing yoga. Yoga has been proposed as a non-pharmacological intervention for all mental health issues like stress and fear, as well as any related disorders, either alone or in combination with other interventions. Significant improvement in people with PTSD has been followed or reported following yoga. It's also been found effective in reducing perceived stress, so that's cool. Reducing fatigue in people who have cancer, improving blood sugar regulation in people with diabetes, blood pressure, menopause, chronic bronchitis, and asthma. And since this is a respiratory virus that we're trying to avoid, all those things are good. Yoga can also enhance your emotional control, improve self-efficacy, self-confidence, and overall quality of life. So they just went on down the road and said that we need to be using yoga because it's been proven effective and it's evidence-based as a therapeutic supplementary or alternative intervention for people having mental health issues due to 9/1 DIVOC. I don't disagree. I think it's a great idea. It's wonderful this got into a journal, the Asian Journal of Psychiatry. And yeah, I mean, I think all of us to some degree or another have dealt with the mental aspects of this pandemic this year. And so it's good that somebody is trying to identify at least ways that we can deal with that without crappy garbage, without alcohol, drugs, whatever people are turning to try to cope. If you're just joining us, this is Ask Me Anything. We do this on Fridays on Jimmy Rants. Literally open the floor to you to ask any question that you want. And in just a moment, I'll be coming to your questions. So get ready, get your questions ready. Go ahead and write them down there. And when the time comes, we will get to your questions. I've got a few more headlines to get to. Then I've got a few questions that came in ahead of time. And then you guys, it's showtime. All right. Speaking of depression, major depressive disorder characterized by a distinct gut microbiome. There was a study published in the journal Science Advances on December the 2nd of this year, and its researchers from China and 2 in the US have found an association between the distribution of gut microbes and major depressive disorder. The gut microbiome is vital to your overall health, but now they're focusing in on how it impacts your mental health. It gets into a lot of the kind of gobbledygook of how it works. But what they did, they analyzed 311 fecal samples from 156 people with this major depressive disorder, 155 people who did not have it. Each of the samples underwent various analysis, and they took a look at the microbes and other material that they found in the samples. And what they found was bacterial signatures between the two groups were significantly distinct. They identified a total of 47 discriminatory bacterial species between those who had the major depressive disorder and those in the healthy group, along with 50 fecal metabolites, and 3 bacteriophages were also different. They also found a higher level of enriched bacterial species, especially of the genus Bacteroides, in those who had the major depressive disorder. They noted higher levels of the bacteroids in the microbiome, which might help heighten levels of cytokines and the associated inflammation that comes with that in those who have the major depressive disorder compared to the general population. So that's pretty cool. Like the microbiome, people that they seem to forget about everything that happens in your body isn't just attached to your brain or your heart. That microbiome in your gut literally impacts every aspect of your life. And if you or someone tends to have issues with major depressive disorder, you get depressed, you get anxious and blah, 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 it could be a microbiome issue. And it's certainly worth looking into and having your gut microbiome analyzed, and then look to see if it has some of these same characteristics that they're finding in this study. Again, that was in the journal Science Advances, published December 2nd, 2020. Pretty cool, huh? All right, I got two more. So there was some research back in July that looks at how genetic legacy influences health and behavior, and it suggests that a Neanderthal gene variant affects how you experience pain. So the Neanderthal version of the gene SCN9A, which codes for the protein NAV1.7. This protein is a sodium channel, essentially acts as a pain volume control, deciding how many painful signals are sent to the spinal cord and brain. What they found was the mutation was found in 0.4% of the UK Biobank participants, a genome database made up of 500,000 British people. Those who had all three substitutions were about 7% more likely to report pain in their lifetime than those without it. The individuals who carry this variation seem to have ended up with the short end of the stick because they experience more pain compared to those who don't have it. And they go on to say pain's not a bad thing because it's a evolutionary tool to make sure you stay out of harm. A version of the gene found in the Neanderthal genomes had 3 genetic mutations that resulted in the altered shape for the protein. They expressed the mutation in frogs to learn how this alteration might have affected the nerves of Neanderthals. What they don't know yet is if this heightened sensitivity in the Neanderthals was a result of natural selection, or whether these were evolved mutations that were beneficial to hunter-gatherers. Regardless, the study marks a step towards a better understanding of what we might have inherited from our Neanderthal ancestors, and it helps to explain why some people have more mood issues, some people have worse metabolism, and why some people feel more pain than others. So that's pretty cool as well. That was published in Inverse.com. They were doing an end of the year kind of series of their best columns from the year. And I saw that and I thought that was really interesting. Okay, last one. And then it's you guys. We will get to your questions. So keep your questions flooding in, you guys. I see Facebook's got several. Where are you, YouTube and Instagram? Give me some questions. I don't see any from you guys. So we'll get to you guys here in just a moment. The last one is from The Guardian, and Naima Brown is one of the reporters there. She decided to do an investigative report on the lab-grown chicken that is now all the rage in Singapore. And he made a comment, the CEO of this company made a comment that I thought was so incredibly fascinating. Listen to this, you guys. The product is considered a clean, cultured, no-kill version of chicken. It's now going to be approved for sale to customers in Singapore, the very first one in the world. The company CEO, Josh Tetrick, would prefer if everyone stops giving the additional descriptors to describe his product and simply call his product meat. See, guys, I've been talking about this for a little while. The agenda with the vegan burgers, with the vegan meats, and why I've had such a hard time with calling them meat is this very thing. This is the very reason. He wants you to stop calling it fake meat, vegan meat, plant-based meat. He just wants you to call it meat. And that's been the design all along. Call it Beyond Meat. And eventually people will go, oh, it's just another form of meat. And of course it isn't. Not even close. And I've done many Jimmy rants exposing all the fakeness in the millions of ingredients, and horrible ingredients at that they put in these quote unquote meat products that are made of all plant-based material. It's gotten ridiculous. And now we see that's the next way that they're going. By the way, this reporter who did this particular taste test, she said it tasted like chicken, but there was just something off about eating something that I knew wasn't really chicken. And I think those people who aren't diehard vegetarian vegans who then eat these things, I think that probably starts to wear on them as well. It's like, all right, I'm eating something that tastes like meat, but I'm not really having meat, but it's a confliction in people's heads, which is why I don't think this will be very big. Although I did read another news story, did not print it out, but talking about there's a big plant that's being built in Europe where they're going to ramp up production of these plant-based burgers and other kind of things. So just when you think this is over and the market has spoken and said, nope, we're not going to accept that, along comes more propping up, no doubt, from millionaire and billionaire investors saying, okay, we've got an agenda here. We want the world to be vegan, and we can't do it unless we have these alternatives in place ready to go to replace people's meat. Because what's next? So they get you convinced to call this stuff meat. So then that meat, then they eliminate meat from society, but then now you don't need this meat from this fake meat. You see what I'm saying? It seems like it's a slow move in that direction of the guy that owns Impossible Burgers, the CEO of Impossible Burger. He admitted that their goal with their company is to make everyone vegetarian vegan by the year 2035. So that's 15 years from now. You don't make that huge of a change without radically changing the way people eat. And I don't know about you, like 15 years from now, I'm going to be 64. I'm still going to be eating meat, so bring it. They're going to have a fight on their hands if they try to take meat away. All right, so keep your questions coming. In just a minute, we'll get to those. Let's get to the ones that came in ahead of time here on Instagram. All right. So this first one, what supplements do you take? And do you have organ meat and take ancestral supplements? So let me answer the first one first, or the second one first, excuse me. I do not have organ meats per se, because I still have a very tough time getting them down. About the closest I've come to getting organ meats, things like liver, into my body is when I could slice up raw slivers of it into little pill shapes and then freeze them. If you've never done this trick, try this. If you have tough time with getting organ meats into your body, get you some raw liver, cut it into slivers, into little pill-sized slivers, freeze it, and I mean hard freeze it for days. And then once you do that, then you pull out one of those little slivers and you take some water and shoot it down, and you don't even taste the liver at all. It just goes right into there. Amanda says, grind it up in your burgers. Yeah, I still taste it. See, that's my problem, you guys, and some of you might relate. I'm a hyper taster. All of my senses are heightened. For some reason, I taste things very bitter, which is why I don't like coffee. I don't like super dark chocolate. I can taste chalky, bitter flavor in broccoli when it's raw. There's just so many. I hyper taste, so I even taste it in the burgers when I grind it up, Amanda. But the frozen trick works. So if I take the time to get some raw liver and try to get it from a grass-fed animal, because it is the liver after all. You don't want to be doing grain-fed liver because that's where all the toxins had to be filtered through. Go ahead and get a grass-fed animal and get the liver and then do it into slivers. But what I do is I use basically a little freeze-dried blend. Paleo Valley is the one that I use, and they have various things in there. I have another one that a guy sent me from Australia that has all of the offal, so to speak, liver, brain, heart, on and on. But it also has kelp from seaweed, and so it's kind of a cool little combo. The kelp gives you some iodine. So as far as other supplements, I mean, it's as needed. I have been taking very high dose vitamin D this year because of 9-1-Divoc, and I haven't had the first sign of any sickness whatsoever, other than those couple days where I got really tired. But and then I do a multivitamin from my company, Keto Living. If you go to ketoliving.com, we have a multi that was developed by Doc Muscles. You guys know Dr. Adam Nally. So he developed this, and so we sell that on ketoliving.com. So I take that, and then like I said, it's targeted. Like some days I will have CBD oil. If I'm having a little bit more of a stressful day, I'll squirt some CBD oil under my tongue. I will occasionally take a sleep supplement as well, but not every day. I try to get my body to naturally go to sleep, so I don't take all these sleep supplements, but I take one that's got CBD and valerian root and other little sleep aids in it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not real picky about having to take a bunch of supplements. I think you target where you're deficient. And a good multi, which the Keto Living one is a very good multi, you don't really need to take a whole lot outside of that other than you're targeted. But thank you for that question. See what the next question is. Is candida in the gut something to be concerned about? Yeah, sure is. So anything that would feed into the candida is not going to be good for your health and your body and your quality of life. So yeah, if you've got one of those things going on, you definitely need to get it under control. And I would highly recommend you go see a functional medicine doctor because they specialize in gut health. They specialize in identifying these things and helping you heal from them. Yeah, I definitely would not let that sit there because you will run into trouble. Now, the best thing you can do if you're doing it on your own, maybe fast for a few days, and certainly eat real whole foods. And I would say try to maybe even push more towards the carnivore end of things because candida actually feeds on pretty much any carbohydrate. So even the so-called healthy ones might be exacerbating it, but definitely get checked out from a functional medicine doctor to help you. Amanda has the next question. Pursuing a career in health without having to go through all the BS doctrine. Yeah, I get a lot of questions from people about, I really want to make a difference in the world. I really want to be able to have credentials after my name because that gives me moxie and it gives me the ability to be able to make a difference and people take you more seriously if you have letters after your name. And I almost always ask these same people when they write me, do you think I have credibility? And of course they all, yeah, of course, yeah. And I'm like, how many letters I have after my name? I do have a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science and English. I have a master's degree in public policy, but nothing to do with nutritional health. Like, I think we put too much value on needing letters after our name and not enough value on the quality of the information that you share. And so I love being the everyman. I love being that empowered patient who is educated, who tries to educate other people, tries to be relatable to you guys. I share when things are a little bit strange, and a lot of you comment how much you like that and you appreciate that in me. So I don't think you necessarily have to go through the BS doctrine. You could try to go through med school and get a traditional medical doctor degree because people want that MD after their name. You could try to go and get the RD. I know a lot of my friends have done that. They just hold their nose at the information. To me, that's just like, I get it. You want the credentials, but I don't think it's necessary to make a difference. The world has changed. Like when I first started blogging and then podcasting, that was 15 years ago. And 15 years ago, maybe you needed those things. But look at how many people became famous on TikTok. Like, look at how many people have huge followings on YouTube and other places that aren't MD, RD, PhD, or any D. So I don't think you have to push yourself through that. Now, if you want to, that's great. I think if you want to go become a nutritional therapist, you could definitely go to the Nutritional Therapy Association. If you want to go through some of the functional medicine types of courses, I don't think that's a bad idea. If you want to pursue that, there's certainly some health certifications and health coaching that you could do as well. But don't put yourself in the box of thinking that you can't make a difference unless you have those things, because you're watching a guy right now that has none of those things. And yet I think I'm making a little bit of a difference. Who knows? But thank you for that question. Next question. Show it on the screen. There we go. What is the most effective way to change people's minds? It's a big question, I know, LOL. Yes, it is a big question, and changing minds with anything is always going to be difficult if you're being harsh about it. And it's one thing I've tried to learn in my career of kind of talking about diet and health is you're not really going to change anybody's minds if you lecture them. There's nothing worse to me than if you say, well, you just need to do this, this, and this, and this, and if you just did it, you wouldn't be so blah, blah, blah. And I think it sends such a wrong message to those people. My strategy is far more subtle. When you're trying to change someone's mind, you ask open-ended questions and you get them to start thinking about what you're saying, not telling them what to believe, not telling them, well, you should believe da-da-da, but saying, so just I wonder, like, did you know that like the V-word companies won't be held liable if you get that shot in your arm? Let's just say they want to take the V-word. Did you know that they're not liable? You can't sue them if something goes wrong. Did you know that they kind of rushed it, 10 months? And the average usually takes about 7 years to develop. Did you know that? How's that make you feel? Like, are you feeling confident that this is something you would want to do, even though never in the history of all mankind have we ever had like this modified RNA type of V word? Does that concern you? So what you do is you put the onus on them to start thinking and start ruminating without being confrontational. And at some point, they're going to think and think and think, and they're going to make that thought pattern their own. And that's how you change their mind. People don't like being told this is what you need to do, but people love figuring out on their own things that they didn't know. So that's the most effective strategy in my mind, how you change people's minds about something they believe. Trust me, I've had this very often with people about saturated fat. Oh, saturated fat clogs your arteries. Oh my gosh, it's just so bad for your heart. And I go, did you know that there's really never been a study looking at saturated fat and having any kind of negative impact on cardiovascular health? It's never happened. Did you know that? Did you know that we actually have very strong evidence that shows that consuming carbohydrates and vegetable oils, those are the worst for your heart? Did you know that? Oh my gosh, like, do you cook in Wesson? Like, oh yeah, everybody did. Corn oil was the thing. Everybody cooked fried chicken. Well, between the Wesson omega-6 rich vegetable oils and the breading on the chicken, those two things really cause some inflammation in your arteries. And it's that inflammation which leads to the heart issues. Now, you can have saturated fat, and it's really not going to do much when you eliminate the carbohydrate. And so you just have this conversation, you get people to start thinking and ruminating. And when people think and ruminate on their own and you make a compelling argument, then is when they change their mind. Now, not everybody will. So if you've got stubborn people or idiot people, no offense to the idiots, but some idiot people just don't want to think. They just want to be told. They just want to follow what everybody else is doing. But if you've got someone open-minded enough, then you can definitely change their mind. But thank you for that question. All right, last one. Have you or do you meditate or use any similar strategies to help keep stress levels down? Yes, I do. And I love deep breathing exercises. I love massage chair and using a massage wand. So I've got several different kind of little massage wand things that I use. And guys, if you don't massage your body often with like a little wand or just something, that there's so many of them out there now that you could pretty much find them anywhere. But you'll be surprised as you go over, like I'll go over all my neck and even like up towards my earlobe there, and then go all on the shoulders and all down the arms, front and back, and then all in the hand, and go all through that. And then I go through my back and then down through my legs to the bottoms of my feet. And I do that daily. And when I do that, I will notice there's tension in various muscles that I didn't even realize was there. And of course, when I'm done, I'm just like, ah. And of course, if you do it close to bedtime, it actually can help you sleep as well. So that's definitely something that I do to help with stress. I am very fortunate, I know, but I have a hot tub that I get to go in. I'm usually in that early in the morning. Pretty much every moment I'm not on Jimmy Rants and not on a podcast, I'm pretty much hanging out in my hot tub back there. I also have an infrared sauna, so I get into that regularly as well. One thing I need to step up my game on is the ice baths. I used to always take ice baths, and I'd go between the sauna and the ice bath because that's also a stress reliever. Something else that I do that people don't really put a lot of stock in, I actively seek out things that make me happy. So if it's viral videos, I love watching Karen viral videos. Those are hilarious. Or on YouTube, they actually have a whole bunch of videos from this dry bar comedy. If you don't like raunchy comedians, dry bar comedy, go look them up over on YouTube. And they've got a bunch of clean but funny comedians on there. And so I'll watch whole comedian specials, 45-minute specials, just to kind of get my giggle on. And when you're laughing, some of those endorphins release, and then you get the relief from your stress that way. So many ways that I do it. And I try not to dwell on the negative circumstances in life. Like right now, there's a lot that you could dwell on that's negative, but I just choose not to. I think life's too short. And we're all going through the everything with 9/11 DIVOC and this never-ending who's our president in the United States. Just so many things still going on, and then personal stuff going on in our lives. It's always going to be there, so try to deal with it in the moment. But thank you for that question. All right, guys, it is your time to shine, so I'm coming to you next. It's your time. This is Ask Me Anything. Ask me whatever you want to ask me. Put it down there in the comment section, and when the time comes, I will come to you. First to Instagram, then over to Facebook. Periscope just dropped off the face of the planet. I think that app is dying. I'm going to try Rumble probably soon. So next on Facebook, and then finally on YouTube. Thank you for being here today. JimmyRants.com is the website. And oh, come on. Instagram's giving me a hard time. When I scroll sometimes it pins everything to the top, so it's hard to see you guys. All right, here we go. I wouldn't be a good coach. I'm way too blunt, says Amanda. Way too blunt. That's called tough love. I love the tough love. Instagram, you let me down. Like, you guys are the main show here, and you got no questions for me. I'm going to come back to you. I'm just going to assume you're all still asleep. You just needed time to wake up. So wake up! And I need some questions from you. So write your questions down. I see Facebook. Facebook is the rock star today. I've got 1 million comments over here. So I'm going to come to you guys next. And YouTube, you better step up your game. I see 1, maybe 2 questions over there. You guys, this is literally your day to shine. So ask me anything, and I'll come back to you guys here in just a moment. Got my eye on you. All right, Facebook, thank you for heeding my call for questions. Tanya says, have you heard of anyone reporting having more leg cramps since starting keto carnivore, even after using minerals and magnesium? Well, Tanya, yes, I have. And a lot of times the reason why people still have leg cramps starting keto and carnivore, and then they add in some minerals and magnesium, they didn't add in enough. I think sometimes the deficiency is such that you need a lot more than you think you do. Now, with magnesium, you have to be really careful about it, because if you get too much, you can get the runs, and you don't want that. As far as helping with the cramps, don't neglect salt. Magnesium's cool, but salt is the elixir. You get salt in your body, and you get adequate hydration with that salt. And I would say salt, and to a lesser degree, maybe potassium, but when you get adequate salt, the body has a really good way of balancing out the electrolytes. And we have become so salt phobic that people undersalt nearly everything. And so I would say the biggest thing you can do is to get some salt. I highly recommend Redmond's Real Salt. I love that stuff. I bought a big old bucket. It's on top of my refrigerator in there, a big gallon bucket of it. And I just keep it on hand all the time. When I'm fasting, salt. When I'm cooking, salt. And if you do that, I think those leg cramps can go away. But leg cramps are pretty normal when you first start on keto and carnivore, because you are dumping a lot of electrolytes out of your body because they're in the muscles, in the stored glycogen. And so when you dump that glycogen, you're losing all those electrolytes. So people are like, oh, but I don't want to eat too much salt. No, that's when you need to double, triple your salt of what you would normally have. We habitually way under eat salt. So I would say if that person's still having the leg cramps, even after using minerals and magnesium, they need to salt their body up and watch what happens. You'll start to feel more energy. You'll get more mental clarity. The headaches maybe that are associated with the cramps and stuff go away as well. Let me know how that works, Tanya, because it's pretty easy to fix that. Candace says, yoga is the best medicine I've found for both the spirit and the body. I do suffer from PTSD, anxiety, MS, and asthma. It allows you to connect with your breath, mind, and body and cut out the noise life throws at you. I have lessened my daily pain and suffered dramatically since finding yoga. Yeah, I used to love doing yoga. I had a great lady that taught a class down at this gym down the road from me. But then life circumstances changed and I couldn't go to that gym anymore. So I've missed yoga bad. I really want to get back into yoga regularly. The worst part of yoga for me was the balance. I don't have good balance. And then my mind races. It's hard for me to just concentrate on my breath, which you're supposed to like. That's the first thing you do. You just... and you're supposed to be regular in your breathing. And it's so hard for me. But that's good that it helped you, Candace. Ooh, just that little bit of breathing. This is why I deep breathe, to kind of de-stress, and that's what I think most of yoga is that breathing you do during that hour. It's pretty amazing. Emily says, I want to know, why are they fudging the numbers? I assume you mean on 9-1-DIVOC. At work, I did the math based the positive cases. I work for a health system and the number of hospitals in my state, and it's over 100,000 less than what's being reported. Well, there's a lot of shenanigans, I think, in that arena going on, because if you look at, and just go to the cdc.gov, just go to their website, and you can see the actual death numbers for 2020. Guys, we're below last year. And with just a few more days left in this year, we're probably going to end up cumulatively less deaths than last year. Now, you would think if we're in this bad, deadly pandemic, that we would see a commensurate rise in the death totals by keeping pretty much everything sort of kind of stable and then adding in the 9-1-DIVOC deaths, and then we would have that many more deaths. But that's not what's happened. We've had less heart attacks. I will give one category of deaths the benefit of the doubt that it's down, and that's car accidents, car accident deaths, because a lot of people haven't been traveling and been out on the road. So we'll count that, but that doesn't account for all those deaths. And people are still dying of car accidents, so that's not totally there. But heart disease, the heart disease deaths are down. Why would they be down? We didn't suddenly get healthier in 2020. So the question of why fudging the numbers, there's a lot of financial incentives for hospital systems, and you know this, having working at a health system. There are definitely perks if you've got a 9-1 DIVOC patient that's worth a lot of money. And hospitals that are struggling for money, it's easy for them to do that. And we've been told, and I've posted all about this, by different health workers and people that work in the numbers of how we count the deaths of 9-1 DIVOC. They said, look, if at the time of death someone has 9-1 DIVOC, it's considered a 9-1 DIVOC death. And it doesn't matter that they were in a motorcycle accident. It doesn't matter that they were old and in a nursing home. It doesn't matter all these other reasons that they died. They put the primary reason for the death as 9-1 DIVOC. And it's unfortunate because now we have this inflation of the deaths to stir up fear in the population. And it's sad people die. Don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing the death. But the death was there anyway. Has very little to do with 9-1 DIVOC. And the number of percentage of the deaths that are actually just from 9-1 DIVOC is so minuscule. It's something like 6 to 9% of the deaths that have been reported are actually just from 9-1 DIVOC. All the rest of them had other issues going on. Now, I know there's debate out there. Well, did 9-1 DIVOC speed up those other issues and the other issues made them more susceptible? Yes, I get all that. But they have already admitted that if they died and had 9-1 DIVOC at the time of death, they're a 9-1 DIVOC death, even though they had renal failure, even though they had cancer, even though they had all these other things going on. So why is as good a guess as anybody? You could guess as good as me. But there's a lot of financial incentive there. There's also a lot of power incentive there, because if you make the public think this thing is worse than it actually is, you can definitely wield more power and control over them. And I think that's the phase we're in now. And that's the phase that I think they're going to try to push us all to take this V word, because 9-1 DIVOC is such a bad killer. You guys remember before Thanksgiving, Dr. Fauci went out there and he said, oh, don't travel for Thanksgiving because that's going to be a super spreader event. And we're going to have upwards of 200, even Joe Biden said this, we'll have upwards of 200 to 300,000 more people dead by the end of the year if you go see grandma at Thanksgiving. And they're doing the same thing about Christmas now. So it didn't happen, by the way. We're not seeing the big spike in the death rates. So it's unfortunate they're using this for fear and manipulation, because they like the power they got from the fear and manipulation they've done so far. Yes, I'm very jaded, but I have a reason to be. They've given us no reason to believe them. And guys, it's not going to get better in 2021. Everybody thinks the calendar's going to turn over. 2021, oh, thank God, 2020 is over. I think 2021 could be far worse than 2020. God, I hope not. So you can hear the sirens in the background. They're already coming for us, man. Yeah, I think 2021 potentially could be worse than 2020 in terms of some of the measures that they're going to take. Just be ready for that. Just be ready. The current state of world affairs suggests it's very easy to change the views of many with effective psychology propaganda very quickly. We're in for a long haul. I call it the Great War on Truth. We'll see how history frames it later if we're around. Yeah. Tanya says, it's helped me open up people's minds by leading by example. Oh, that's good. People constantly ask me what I'm doing differently and often want to talk or ask me to consult them. It's been an amazing journey. Tanya, that's awesome. And that is the fun part, that when you make changes and people notice it, they will come to you when they need help. Has anyone who has diverticulitis or poor gut motility had success on keto? The dietary advice is to eat white bread and pasta and jello. I eat bone broth and liver pate right now. Yeah, I've never understood the white bread, pasta, and jello as the answer to anything. Yeah, maybe it helps with some of the gut motility stuff, but it still doesn't have anything but a bad effect on your blood sugar and insulin, inflammation, and all the things that down the road will make you unhealthy. I can't imagine why keto would not help with that. But again, like I said earlier to someone's question over here, go see a functional medicine doctor and they can help you. Mike says, I just had a 1/4 teaspoon of Redmond salt. I do it 3 times a day in addition to salting my food. See, Mike knows. See, Mike, you know, and you get that vitality. I don't know about you, especially when I'm fasting and I'm doing a long fast of more than 3 days. And I get salt underneath my tongue and let it just kind of ooze there. Oh, you get like a jolt of energy. It's amazing. People don't even realize how powerful salt really is because they've been made to fear it. And wrongly so. We never should have been fearing salt, especially real salt. All right, thank you, Facebook. Now let's pop over here to my YouTube channel. What's up, YouTube? Are you a vegan? Boy, they started out with a bang. Are you a vegan? No, I'm not a vegan. I'm actually very carnivore, leaning to keto. So I have mainly meat as my diet. I do add in avocado every once in a while. I'm not totally strict carnivore that have to only eat animal foods all the time, but I do love mostly animal foods. But steak, eggs, pork belly. I do have cheese in my diet as well, because that's an animal food as well. But no, most certainly not a vegan. But thank you for asking. Vadim says, are you still flipping that big tire? It was fun watching you. I actually felt my muscles getting excited watching you. Well, I still have the tire out there in the side. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, this year has been really tough on me. I've been going through a very stressful situation in my personal life. And so I have tried flipping it a couple times. And when I did, my muscles were so tight from the stress that it didn't work out. I was in such writhing pain for days afterwards. And I'm honoring my body, you guys. Listen to this. I want to make this loud and clear. People are like, oh, use this extra time at home and get things done and work on yourself and da-da-da. Look, some people are in a situation where that's good and that's ideal and they can do that. Other people are dealing with some stuff, and I am. And I make no bones about it. This has been one of the crappiest years of my life. And as such, I know to pay attention to my body. It's another reason I haven't really done long fasts a lot. I did one group fast on Jimmy RANTS several months ago now. I think it was June. And I failed miserably at it. I think I only lasted about 2.5 days, and I was starving because the stress is just so intense for me. Despite all the ways that I try to relieve it, I can't imagine what my body would be like if I wasn't doing all the things to try to relieve stress. But right now, no, to be honest with you, Vadim. I love flipping the tire when I feel good. And I definitely want to get back to it. But until this situation that I'm in is resolved, I'm not going to be able to really do much in that realm. Trust me, when my situation that I'm currently in the midst of dealing with is resolved and I'm able to feel that sigh of relief and move on, then yeah, I'm going to be hot and heavy at it. But it's sitting right out there. I've thought several times lately of maybe giving it another go, but I still know I'm under the heavy-handedness of this situation, and there's really nothing I can do about it at this point. But thank you for that question. Gaz Keto, what's your take on people overdoing the dietary fat on keto when they need to lose weight? Yeah, I think we put too much emphasis on people having to get some magical macronutrient ratio of things. And people that, oh, you have to go extremely high in fat, and you need to make sure that you keep your fat levels up and hit some percentage of it, and make sure at the end of the day, if you haven't gotten to your percentage of fat, you need to eat, whole tablespoons of fat. And I'm thinking, well, that's just unnatural. Like, why would you do that? So to answer your question, I think people need to eat enough fat in the diet that makes them feel satiated. Enough fat that makes the food tasty. I think the primary focus people should put in their ketogenic diet is getting quality protein. And you get the quality protein, and I've interviewed various people on my podcasts over the years. Dr. Donald Layman is one of the world's foremost authorities on the subject of protein. And I remember when I had him on many years ago now, but when I had him on, he said, you need at every meal, listen to this, guys, every meal that you eat, you need a minimum of 30 grams of protein. If you're not having a minimum of 30 grams of protein, then you're going to lose muscle. Then you're going to have issues in your body, because those amino acids are the building blocks of literally every part of your life. And so have the amino acids, but then get the natural fat that comes with those amino acids. This is why beef is such a great superfood. Chicken, I have a little more problems with chicken because chicken can be insulinogenic, especially chicken breast. Please don't just eat chicken breast unless you just like that. Have the whole chicken, skin and everything, and the dark meat and everything. One of my favorite things to do when I do have chicken is to have a rotisserie chicken. And I'll sit there and have pieces of all around it. I'll have the skin, I'll have the dark meat from the legs, I'll have some of the chicken breast. My cats love when I get a rotisserie because they know they're going to get a lot of chicken breast because I don't eat a lot of the lean meat. As do my chickens, by the way. I'll throw them the carcass at the end and leave like some of the breast on there, and they just devour. Yes, chickens love chicken. I promise you they do. It's not weird. It's just that's what chickens do. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, you can overdo it on the fat. And I think that's why people should put the focus on protein first with the natural fats that come with it. If you want a little extra fat for flavoring, like I think a pat of butter on top of a steak is far better than putting A1 sauce on top of the steak. So yeah, I love it. And then, let your hunger and how you feel and all that guide you, that if you're hungry pretty quick after eating a meal like that, then maybe you needed to bump up the fat a little bit. And you should never feel gorged at the end of eating. All of those things are signs of how to adjust your macros. But thank you for that question. And thank you, YouTube. Let me go back over here, see if Instagram has awakened. Paul, you woke up. Thank you for being here, Paul. How do I tell my 85-year-old mother who should get the shot first and think that it's so bad, but that second shot probably layering up for a couple of days? Yeah, I think if your mother's 85 years old, she doesn't need this V word. I mean, at the end of the day, she's lived a long and beautiful life. And I just hate the way they're marketing it. Well, we need to get all the frontline workers in the health industry and then go after all the old people. And I'm thinking the old people are probably going, yeah, we'll be okay. All you youngins out there, y'all get this thing. And all the youngins get it and enough get it or exposed to it naturally in the wild. And herd immunity kicks in, and then these people, like your 85-year-old mother, are going to be just fine. Like, I hate it. And my 70-year-old mom, who's pretty frail, she's got several comorbidities. I'm telling her about this, that, hey, stay away from this V word. Like, you don't need this. Just stay safe. And she's secluded. She hasn't really been out that much. But let everybody else get it, and this herd immunity will kick in. Yeah, I don't... And then the fact that you have to have multiple shots from this, yeah, I would be highly concerned. Val says, my restless legs were horrible when I started even with electrolytes. I started taking iron for a bit and they stopped. Oh, that's interesting, Val. See, Val, you're proving the point that you need to pay attention to changes when you change your diet. And so good for you recognizing that you had issues until you added in the electrolytes. And so that's great. Super duper. Amanda says magnesium almost always takes away my restless leg. Yeah. Val says my husband's coworker fighting to get the family death certificate changed, talking about the 9-1 DIVOC test. They died in a car accident, and yet they're listed as a 9-1 DIVOC death. See, that would make me angry. If I was the family member of someone that I knew died in a car accident, and you see where they used your family member as a pawn in the game of 9-1 DIVOC deaths, I would be pissed. And I would not be surprised if we don't see a class action lawsuit of all these people whose family members were used in the game to propagandize the public on how many deaths from 9-1 DIVOC there were. Go look up the deaths from tuberculosis. Yeah, way, way down. So many deaths in every category have pretty much fallen this year. How does that happen? If you do a 5 or 10 year analysis of the deaths by certain categories of causes of death, they're pretty much steady with a slight increase in like heart disease and cancer and different ones every year, but not a dramatic drop as they're showing in all of these categories. It's pretty disgusting. Joshua says, I think people need to realize that peaceful non-compliance is the only way to turn it around. Well, I hope more people are becoming aware of what's going on. It's something I have tried to articulate here on my show and in my work. And I know some people think when you start talking this way, oh, you're just crazy, conspiracy theory whack. But think it through. I always tell people, just think, look at what they're doing. I just put up a tweet on my stories on Instagram from Bill Gates. And it was from 1 year ago tomorrow. And he said, my foundation is about to start investing in the biggest opportunity of 2020, and the biggest opportunity was V-words. Now I'm thinking, okay, Bill, December 19th, 2019, you're telling people that the biggest business opportunity is to invest in V-words? How would you know that? He knew that because a few days later, they would name 9-1 DIVOC. And a couple months after that, he would convince the World Health Organization to label 9-1 DIVOC a global pandemic. And from there, we've had all the things we've seen this year. Did you guys know that? Like, that's legit what has happened. And it's out there. And if you think this is totally above board, you need to look a little more, because there's more to the story. Holly says, I hope what you're going through gets over soon. I hate you're going through it. Thank you, Holly. I am trying to, in the midst of the pain of what I'm going through, I'm trying to realize that there is a huge light at the end of the tunnel, that when I'm on the other side of this, I will be better for it. So that keeps me motivated, but it doesn't completely alleviate and take away all the pain associated with what I'm going through. And I wish I could talk more about it. I'm not allowed to, but just know it's something stressful that when it's over, it'll be better, but it's the uncertainty of it. And a lot of people of us are dealing with uncertainty right now with all the everything with 9-1 DIVOC and this election and all the other things. But then add on top of those things, a personal issue and some things professional that are going on. So yeah, it's a lot, and I'm a pretty resilient guy from the things that have happened in my life, but this has taken its toll. I've gained weight this year. It's been tough. So I appreciate your happy thoughts. Cariana says, is keeping chickens as easy as everyone says? Yeah, it really is. Like, I've got 15 of them in my backyard, And we've got a nice little hen house back there for them. I call it the Taj Mahal. I've got little water things out in the yard. And pretty much you just need to give them a place to nest. So that's where they lay the eggs. You need to give them perch bars. That's how they sleep, is on a little bar. And then, have some hay out, give them a little bit of calcium feed. And so I buy this feed from the feed and seed store, and that helps their egg production. And then give them a big open backyard to roam around in and eat and scratch and do all the things chickens do. And yeah, it's pretty easy, and they're hilarious to watch, running around and doing all kinds of stuff. And yes, they poop everywhere as well, and it helps the grass grow really green during the warmer months. So, but yeah, I love chickens. I've had them for about 7 years now. I've had chickens, and in fact I have one left from my original flock. In that 15 back there, my original flock was 6, and Squawky is the only one left from the original flock. All the rest of them have come. I think 3 years ago I got chicks. It's about due for me to get chicks again. I'm holding off for now just because I want to see what happens to this flock. But they're starting to slow down egg production, so I do love me some eggs. So don't know how I'll have eggs if they stop producing eggs for me. But keeping them is a piece of cake. In fact, when I'm done with Jimmy Rants, I will go back there and make sure all their water is filled up and everything. So thank you for that. What are some tips or timing fasts with menstrual cycle? Tips for timing your fast with your menstrual cycle. Yeah, don't do it while you're menstruating, Amanda. There's so many women that want to join my challenges when I do the challenges for fasting. And then they start their period like the day or two before the fast. And then they come on the fast and go, why am I struggling? I'm like, you're menstruating. Like, you're literally not in a position to be doing it. So ladies, don't do that to yourself. Like, go through your period. Let the few days before your period come, have your period, and let a few days after your period is over, and then fast if you're going to fast. Now, the only fasting I would say in the midst of the menstrual cycle would be like if you intermittent fasted. But even then, like, don't be a fool. Like, you're losing energy out of your body. And so at that point, you need to be feeding yourself to replenish what's being lost. And so I think people try to make this formulaic. And if you're on your period, you do not need to be fasting. So, but thank you for that question. You're going to be a superhero when this is all done, says Joshua, and we're all here for you, says Holly. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'm cool. At the end of the day, I can't really control the circumstances of what are happening to me. And so if I can't control them, why should I get upset by them, right? Got another question came in. What are you going to do about the new Instagram policies? Yeah, I noted that at the very beginning of this Jimmy Rants. That they go into effect on Sunday. So December the 20th on Instagram and Facebook, they've already decided to change their policy. And in the policy, they're very explicit that we can and will remove you for any or no reason at all. So I'm ready for it. If they feel like they have to do that, then so be it. And for me, I'm already setting up some alternative sites. I am over at Parler at Living Low Carb Man. I did set up a Rumble page. Have never gone live from Rumble yet. I do want to do that at some point. JimmyRants.com. I definitely want to try to go live from there as well. We're working on stuff, guys, but things are about to change pretty radically, and just, it's ironic they decided to do this the week of Christmas. So get ready. If come Monday you try to log on and you don't see a lot of your favorite people, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. Ask me anything. This was fun today. Thank you guys for being here. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, engage live with me. I'm right here at Jimmy Rants over on Instagram. So thank you guys for being here today. We also simulcast on my Facebook page as well as YouTube. Periscope just flew the coop on me within 10 minutes of being on the air. So totally lost the feed. I don't know what happened there, but anywho, you guys stuck around. If you missed the live, you can watch it on the replay on IGTV right here on the Jimmy Rants Instagram page. It's also over on YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you'll find the show. Finally, you can see all of the past episodes over at jimmyrants.com. So guys, have a great weekend. I will be here next week, by the way. I have a lot of studies that have come out. I'm not sure the week of Christmas I want to do a heavy study week because you guys are not into studies when you're trying to think about Christmas and family. Maybe I save that for the week before New Year's. And yeah, so I'll save some of those studies for the week before New Year's. Maybe next week we try to do some fun categories. And next Friday, I want to be here for anybody who isn't going to be with family or just wants to hang out on Jimmy Rants. So come back next Friday. We will have a special Christmas edition of Ask Me Anything. We'll just kind of hang out together, and whoever's here is here, and we'll have some fun with that. So, all right, guys, let me pop off of here for now. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.